Paul can't make it this week. He's out working somewhere. Where'd she say he was?
In the bathroom.
uh, Talking about a new generation of labor, the kids that are entering the workforce and what's going on with these kids.
I don't know if we really say kids anymore. I mean,
Man, they're
at
kids.
that age, we
Yeah.
say kids.
So, everyone talks about how things have changed in the industry, and I don't know if it's necessarily the work that's changed or just the people coming in and how you do the work. I mean, everything's still pretty standard. It's just
I think expectations have changed. The amount of time that you have to get jobs done, so everyone expects more efficiency, right? Or you have to be more efficient in order to meet the new timelines. I remember when a building used to take 9 months, a year, or longer.
Right? Now everything's fast track. Get everything done in 3 months.
Yeah, I remember when I heard that first time, the fast track. I forget the name of the company, but they were like, "This is a fast track job." And I just remembered like everybody was cutting corners, and it ended up being a very horrible job. But I remember the schedule and the scope was just. I was like, "We're supposed to get that done in how fast?" But I'm competitive, so.
Right. What's up, Kevin? Kevin watching on LinkedIn.
Made it pretty easy. It's like, oh man, that wasn't really that hard, but a lot of moving parts have to be on the same page. I think part of the topic too was how the trades have changed. For me, I mean, been in the trades for 25 years. So I don't
necessarily not the trades have changed, but how the workers have changed.
Yeah. To be honest, man, people nowadays are just soft. Like nobody. I'm gonna have to look at it from how I started, where I started, and what I was brought into. And back when I started, you had to prove yourself, and then you ask. Now it's backwards. Everyone's asking for their reward before they prove themselves. Nobody really wants to learn. I grew up learning on my own, right? Like I got better on my own because I wanted to. When I learned, I didn't just learn at work. I learned at home, so that way I could be better at work. The more I learned at home and practiced myself, the more the people I worked for wanted to teach me because they seen advancement. But different breed back then. I remember being the young person and nobody liking me. Older guys, old guys that were like in their early 30s.
Old guys that were younger than you are now.
Yeah. Really hated that I was their boss, and I get it. It was different back then. It wasn't the norm, I would say, that a 20-year-old Hispanic male was the boss of some 30-year-old white Americans. They just felt like they deserved to be in that position, I guess. I don't know. I didn't really care. I just knew that I was asked to do a job and I did it. But from then till now, the people that were coming in to the trades and we were teaching were ready to learn. They understood what a trade meant. They understood that once you were taught this skill, it could never be taken away. It was yours to hold, to keep, to cradle, take home, baby it, whatever. It was yours. Now I don't even know how it's viewed now, to be honest with you, because I can't. I'm not in that position. I'm not young like that. I'm always going to view it like I'm learning something that someone can't take away.
Well, we just run into. It's weird, right? Because you run into the younger people that will say that they want to learn a trade, but then as soon as that factory comes knocking on the door and they're going to give them 15 cents more an hour than you're giving them right now, they're jumping ship right away. Yeah. So that's kind of what has changed, right? Because they don't look at the process of from point A to point B. They just come in and be like, I want to do flooring. And they're like, I like your truck. I want to have that truck right now. Why aren't you paying me enough to have the same truck as you? It almost seems like that's the mentality of the generation that's coming to work right now. Like you said, they want everything right now, but then they're also the ones that are like, they always feel like they deserve more no matter how much you're giving them. And I don't think that's necessarily a generational thing, because that's been happening for years.
Well, I don't think, it's not a generation. I think it's a culture thing. From what the media is pushing to what they're being told in school. Not like, I don't even know what kids are being told in school nowadays. So it's, I don't know if they're pushing trades, if they're pushing, I mean, they're always pushing higher education, right? Because it's a business. They want to have the education continued, so that way they could collect funds from these poor, unsuspecting young kids without a plan. That's weird. I'll go off on a tangent on that one too, but
I know that they're pushing trades more and more, because we see it all the time, where especially like the construction companies that we do work for, they're always at these events at the schools. And
yeah. Well, over here we have the West Michigan Construction Institute.
Yep.
They're very involved with the community, very involved with the school systems, from I believe middle school through high school, and even adult education. So that's very helpful. So I guess, they're bringing awareness to it. But
it's the mindset of these kids, right? Because we're in the information age. Everything is at your fingertips these days, and then they see all these people becoming millionaires on social media, right?
Yeah,
influencers, and everyone just wants to be an influencer. And then there was actually some influencers that were talking about it, and they're like, not everyone is going to be a TikTok star or a YouTube star. There's still people that need to work. People still need to build our society, and that's what we're lacking is the kids actually coming up and knowing that I'm still going to have to work. Everything's not just going to happen, and I'm not just going to be famous overnight. I mean, it does happen to some people, right? I mean, that's the thing. And some of these people, that's all they want to do. They have their mindset on, this is all I want to do. That's all I'm going to try. And then they come to work and don't give it their all. And it's like, how do you change their mindset on that?
I don't know how to change mindset. I think in order to change mindset, you have to show them that. And here's the problem: you show them that you're interested in helping them get better, continue their education in what they want to be better at, and then instead of it being a luxury, it becomes an expectation. And I think that that's part of some of the change too, is that nobody views amenities as a luxury anymore. It's more of an expectation, which makes it harder on a lot of smaller businesses. And I think that that's where we change.
Because everyone looks at the corporate world and thinks that's the business, no matter how big it is, right? It's I'm gonna go work for this company. Why don't you guys have this? Why don't you have that? When they don't understand that small businesses don't have that luxury. We're not making billions of dollars a year. Jake said that we came up with the thought that you had to work for what you wanted and earn the money to get it, right? And like you said, we've already touched on this a couple times, and then we're only 10 minutes in. It's they come in with the expectation of, this is what I already deserve, not let me work up to this point and then get what I want. It's always they're, like I said, they're essentially trying to come in and make exactly what we're making now with zero
effort, zero time.
Yeah, with no time into the industry.
Yeah. And I think that people ask like, hey, how can I get to this point? And I just said, I need time. I need your time. Like, time is the most valuable thing that you can offer. It's the most valuable thing to each individual, but it takes time to hone your craft. Well, it doesn't matter what it is. Just time. If you're not willing to put in the time, then you're not going to get to where you're at. And you said something about like the truck or whatever. I remember there was a conversation on Facebook about that too. Like, oh, they got flashy truck. Like, that's my truck, dude. Like, I bought it with for me, like, so I could use for me for work. It might say a company name on it, but it's still mine. Just got sick of blowing engines in smaller trucks. And that took,
Well, that's besides the point, right? Because it doesn't matter who owns the truck, it's working up to that point in order to be able to get there. It's
10
like
years.
they don't look at the 20 years ago when we started. They just look at this is what we have now.
Yeah. And that goes for everyone in the trade, like construction wise. Like, there's a couple buddies of mine that they have small businesses too. I remember when they started, they didn't have anything. Now I'm looking at my buddy who's doing landscaping. He's got heavy equipment. He's got like I look at that stuff and I'm like, you go, dude. Like, hell yeah, he's putting in the work.
Carlos is on here right now too. He works with a lot of the, I don't know if he necessarily works with the kids, but he's really involved in the Job Corps, right?
Yes.
So
Hey,
young adults.
Still didn't send me that new email.
Young adults, right? And getting them their foot in the door to the industry. And that that's one of the things that really helps out is these programs that are set up in order to get a hands-on approach instead of starting off, full bore into the industry, which I mean, that's how we all started and kind of just worked out. But it's nice that these kids have, and I'm calling them kids again, these people have the option to go through something like that.
The other day, so he's old.
Yeah, I'm really old now. I'm basically 40.
I don't know if we're really going off that topic or not, but like, if the new generation of labor, how important is the new generation of labor? So the generation that's getting trained right now and that's entering the system, whether or not they want to be up here right away or they're willing to start at the bottom of the totem pole or near the bottom, you guys are essentially the doctors of the future, right? You're going to be so far and few in between in 10 years that you're going to be worth far more in 10 years than you are right now. And that's going to expedite anybody's career in the trades. The value is going to be put on you by the public, not by your achievements. It's by the public. And there's not going to be very many people in the trades. I don't have that metric, and I don't know where to find that metric, to be honest with you. But based off the conversations that we have here at the local chamber and projections over the next 10 years, plus all the talk that we have with Paul, it's not looking very promising for the amount of work that's going to be coming into the trades versus the amount of people available for them, whether it's the flooring industry or not. There's going to be a very high demand. And we're going to probably going to see a very big offset in ability to adjust pricing accordingly. And if you are getting in now and you're learn with purpose, 100% learn with purpose.
And both of these guys are, like Carlos says, the future installers need us, right? And he's 100% right. And then you look at what Jake is saying, he's like, a lot of the guys out there didn't really teach the young people coming in, right? We constantly touch on this too. It's where it's like, I'm not going to teach you because then you're going to start taking my work. So in a nutshell, like not we, but like industry wide, we as an industry kind of put ourselves into the position that we're in. And
well, that's where the word trade secret, right? Like, that's a trade secret. Well, you know what? Should never have came up with that term, because that's what put us in the position we're in now. Nobody wants to go somewhere and devote their time to not learn everything, to not learn the secrets. I would rather teach somebody how to do what I know how to do, so that way I can do something else and move on. But
And that's, you know, something that the kids coming into have to understand as well, though, right? It's you have to start at the bottom and work yourself up to the top. So you're going to be doing trash. You're going to be doing, you know, the thing that no one necessarily wants to do, but still have to get done.
it's part of the process.
And that's where I can see where, you know, a lot of the not teaching comes in, because a lot of the time, and you know, some of us, I'm guilty of it. It's, I'll do this, you just go do that. Like, I don't have time for this right now. You just go do that.
And that's where the fast track projects came into play, right? Like before, when I started, and just in general, back in the day, you'd have time to teach and train people. Once everything got fast tracked, and that became the new control, that became the new standard and expectation. Your window of opportunity to teach comfortably shrunk, right? So you got to get more people with more skills faster to get the job done in a shorter amount of time, but then we're still expected to pass on information and train properly. And that's where like the unions and all that have a one up, where they have their own requirements and training programs, and you know, some of them that like they have to go every other weekend or one weekend a month,
right?
or,
And it's unpaid training.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of the guys don't understand. It's that a lot of what you learn has to kind of be on your own time, whether it's a half hour a day that you're not scrolling on social media and you're actually learning something. I mean, look at all the publications that are out, right? Grab one of the flooring magazines, read an article. There's plenty of guys that are sharing their knowledge that you can learn, you know, just a little bit, you know, something that you didn't know yesterday, you can learn today. And take that time out. And like I said, like many small time make big time. It's read this today, read that, you know, in a few days. Read the bucket, grab some literature out of whatever flooring that you're doing, and read up on it. It's the amount of people that don't know that there's actual standards in flooring installation is mind-boggling. And I think that's where we have a leg up on the new people that are coming in right now, is because you can teach them right off the bat. There's standards. This is what we're following. NAFCT, I've got their hat on today. Their substrate and subfloor program is amazing. We've been doing this for over 20 years, and we learned so much on going through that. You know, it's crazy the amount of information that you don't know you have until you actually have it in front of you.
Yeah, it's this is one of those things, like Daniel says, another tool for your toolbox is coming into the industry right now. And in order to be prep for the future, man, you better load up that toolbox with as much as you possibly can. I think the future of any industry, flooring or any industry in the trades, is going to be in a very bad shape, or a very bad condition, if you don't start loading that toolbox sooner than later.
And Jake says right here, you know, the guys that taught us weren't necessarily, and I'm not reading verbatim, but you know, they weren't the nicest, right? It's get this done, or
guilty,
or they get angry. And it's like and then he says right after that it takes a lot of patience to train the new people, and it really does, because we're not training the same people that we were 20 years ago.
Yeah, there's definitely and that's what it is they're approaching life through a different lens than what we had, right? The lens that they have now is the same way. Like, my son's 10 years old talking to me about gaming PCs and all that. I don't know anything about that stuff, right? But that's what he's growing up with. Like, he's 10, he knows a lot about that. And Daniel's only 6 years younger than I am, and the difference in knowledge on tech versus in that 6 year gap is was very substantial. So he grew up through it with a different lens than what I did, even 6 years apart. I can only imagine 20 years apart, 25 years apart.
And that's what we're dealing with right now. And it's not just the world changes, technology changes, everything changes, and then we have to start looking at ourselves too through that lens. And like, you can be like those guys that you learn from and be an a-hole all the time, or you can channel your inner woosah and have to just let me back up a little bit and think about what I'm going to say before it comes out of my mouth. And sometimes it's real hard. Sometimes stuff just comes out still, but it's like, so like in baseball, we use the 24-hour rule, right? It's, if you see the coaches doing something that you don't necessarily like, or the kids doing something, it's like, you don't approach them right away and say, this is what's going on, this is what needs to change. It's, let me take some time, process it, think about it. And then, I mean, a lot of the times it's like, you know, I come out 24 hours later and it's like, you know what? I kind of understand why they were making the decisions that they were. Do I agree with them still? Maybe, maybe not. But at the same time, I understand why those decisions were made. So it's us having to take a step back and look at the new generation that's coming in, and realizing that they come from a different time. They're not going to be like us, and kind of empathize with them and almost baby them into the industry, right? It's like, no, we don't want to give you everything you want, like right off the bat, but we're going to explain to you that this industry can be lucrative and you can have a great life. It's just a matter of how much are you going to take the reins on it and control your learning to the point so where I want to be able to just delegate to you without having to micromanage, right? Hey, go do this. Well, I don't know how to do that. Well, I already showed you this. And it's like, that's where the training programs and stuff come in too. It's on us to create these programs in order for these people to go through, because over the past couple of years, I think that's what we've learned, right? Because we keep on going, this is how you do this. All right, go do it. And then it comes back, and this is in the office and in the field, and then it comes back, well, I don't remember you telling me this. I never did this. It's like, we do this every single day.
You guys always say, like, I always have a notebook, and this is old school stuff. Like, I like to write it out. A lot of people use notes on their phone, but that's the biggest part of it too, is showing initiative to take notes, not just mental notes, but actual notes, to refer back to. Like, you hear it, now you're writing it, now you're seeing it, less chance of you forgetting it. And that's part of it. That's part of the training and absorbing it too, is doing your part to make sure that you don't forget. Because if someone tried to make it as easy as we try to make it for some of the guys today, I don't know if I would have, honestly, I don't know if I would have tried as hard. So I don't even know if I would be here right now, to be honest with you. So it's hard for me to accept some of the I forgot or I don't remember, when literally everything is written out for everyone and handed to them in a
work order,
in a gift basket. Here's what you have to do today.
And it becomes so redundant for us, because it's like, I'm gonna give you a work order, I'm gonna print it out, I'm gonna put it in here where on Teams so everyone can see it, and then when you get here, I'm gonna tell you what you need. And then when every day someone has to come back because it's like, I literally told you to grab that. Like, why? And it's frustrating for us, but that's just the reality of the workforce that we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like babysitting every single day but trying to get them to a point where you don't have to, right? It's like raising a kid. Teach them as much as you can, but at some point, whether they're ready or not, it's like, go do this.
Yeah, you sometimes the best way to learn how to swim is jump in the deep end and fight for it. And that's what people don't want anymore. People don't want to get thrown into the deep end and fight for it anymore. They want to sit on the diving board, watch everyone splash until the water's low enough for them to comfortably jump in. And that's not going to work in 10 years. I don't know if that's ever going to work, to be honest with you.
And Carlos says, being patient and training the next generation is worth it because giving them a skill set that will help them raise a family and become self-sustainable.
That's
always the goal, right? It's just a matter of which one of these young kids is going to start grasping on and realizing that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right?
Yeah.
You can tell them, hey, I'm going to teach you what I know, but it's on you to take what I'm teaching you and expand on that. So I started when I was 12. You were 18, so fresh into the trade at 18. And then once I graduated high school, started working with you, you started teaching me, right? And teaching me the way that Jake says, getting all angry, go do this. You messed it up. And then get all angry, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So that it's different.
And it does, you know what? I will have to say that there are different styles of learning and teaching, right? Some people do react to that. Some people don't. And most of the people who don't are 30 and under right now because they've been so coddled that they don't understand what it's like nobody talks to them like that anymore. They don't even talk like that in school.
Right. Teachers can't, your parents can't.
Right. I mean, you can't words that I grew up saying in a household I still say it to my family, but words I grew up saying normal conversation, can't even say it anymore without being politically incorrect or whatever you want to call it.
But what I did was I took the information you gave me. I went and tried it. Maybe I did it like you. Maybe I was like, this ain't working for me. Let me figure out a different way. But I didn't just give up or not expand on that. I took that knowledge that you gave me, went and did a little bit more, expanded that,
made it better.
And then
for you.
Yeah. And then now I'm able to go to that next person and teach them. And that's the constant evolution of how training should be, right? I've gone through trainings where they were like, how did you explain that? And then I explained it to them and they were like, I've never thought to explain it like that before, but that's how I'm going to teach it from now on. And that's how it should be. It's not, you didn't teach me how to do this. That excuse only goes so far. It's, you showed me how to do this and then I tried it. I didn't like it. So I expanded on it and learned myself. And that's what the young people are kind of missing. It's not just all come to work, do your job, leave, go home, because just think about it in terms of any other industry. You got to do training. You got to, the teachers that, we have half days once a month so the teachers can go through training.
And just to clarify too, and this came up in conversation the other day, corporate America is different than construction America, everyone. Corporate America is, they build that onboarding system in there, right? Like corporate America usually has a facility big enough to have a conference room full of people being trained all day, every day, learning the basics. Construction America doesn't really have that at their disposal. They got to go out and they got to sustain and make money. They don't have hundreds of people already out there making money to sustain 50 people who are learning for the next 2 years. That just want to make that clear that there is a black and white difference from construction America to corporate America. The hands-on portion, you got to get out and do it. You can't someone who went to college for engineering cannot go and do the install. If they're out there doing the architectural on a drawing and they're dragging and dropping and like that is not going out and learning how to do the hands-on. And you can only read a book so many times before you have to put your hands on it to make sense. And sucks to say, but I would say 80% of what we've learned is by putting our hands on it. The other 20% is just information that doesn't make any sense until you're ripping it apart, tearing it apart, cutting it, putting it together. I just want to make sure everyone knows that there is a separation there. And I think maybe that's what it is too, is corporate America's built up so good of reputation as the easy button, click the easy button, that's what the younger generations kind of expect, right? Like, I'm gonna put 6 months in, and in 6 months I should know how to do exactly what these guys know how to do. And that's not it. That's not the case.
Well, that and a lot of these factories are based on time in, I think. Like, they have their set schedule. You're here for this amount of time, you get a raise. You're here for this amount of time, you get a raise. And
but that's
they have that mindset as well.
Yeah, that's like a 1%, 2% raise.
Not even.
Yeah, not even. Like,
I mean, I remember mom working in the factories, and she came home one day and she was like, I quit my job. I was like, what? They gave me I had my review. Yeah, I had my review. They're like, you're doing great. Here's a 10-cent raise. She said, I quit.
10 cents. Like, what does that do? You get an extra, well, I guess
$4.
Yeah.
$4 a week.
Like, come on. Makes no sense. In construction, you do have opportunities to, you might have a small jump in pay, and then a substantial jump, and then you might be there for a little bit, right? But the long-term value in pay doesn't come from getting a raise every quarter or every 6 months, every year, and a substantial raise. It comes from, I'm doing great work, they're keeping me busy while other people are staying home. And if everyone is busy and you are not, then must be something wrong there. And it does suck, like in the bid market, a lot of people stay busy because they just throw low numbers out and get the jobs, and that's what people want to hire. But we try not to be that company.
Yeah, we try not to be low bid, and I'll be honest with people at the get-go, is like, I'm probably not going to be low bid. So, and I mean, we've gotten a few projects that we weren't low bid, and I mean, it's been great, but it's the whole industry looking at the new people that are coming in, us as the old guys. And the crazy thing is I call us the old guys, and then we go to the convention and they call us the young guys. And it's like, and we say the same thing about them. Like, honestly, they want to see all these changes in the industry, but it's like they don't want to change the way that they're doing things. And then you look at us and it's like, we want things to change the way in the industry. And it's like, what do we have to do in order to change ourselves, in order to accommodate them? But not
actually, we have somebody here. Hey, she's way in the background. Our niece.
She doesn't like to be on video.
She don't have to be on video, but I want to ask you a question since you're here. You're young, you're a kid. How old are you now? 17?
17.
Dang, getting old.
You want to come on camera?
What do
I have to leave in like 5 minutes.
No, that's fine. You can leave in 2 minutes. I just have a simple question. You're young, you're still in high school right now. You're a senior. When you get out of high school, if you weren't looking at higher education, would you even be attracted to the trades? And if not, why? And if so, why?
The trades as in
Just
flooring
construction, just construction. It doesn't have to be flooring. Just like, does any of that even interest you? And it's okay to say no, because if it's no,
it's not something I've ever thought about.
Okay, and
'Cause-
and why is that?
I always knew that I wanted to attend that higher education.
Okay, so the trade is just something that doesn't interest you from just being interested in learning how to build something for the
No,
most part.
not really.
Okay, and what is interesting to you and maybe some of the people you go to school with? Like, what does everyone talk about? Like when I grow up and I'm 21 years old and I'm a full grown adult and I know everything, what are they going to do? What is that everybody talk about nowadays in school?
In high school?
Yeah.
You don't really hear about when I grow up or when I'm 21. It's when I go to college and how much fun I'm gonna have.
Okay.
How much parties I'm gonna go to.
So you heard it here first. That is a big problem. And that's all students, right? Because I know the teachers ain't talking about that.
Oh no.
Right. So that's the students. So that's all on perspective. And so what is leading that perspective? And whatever is leading that perspective is also creating the expectations. So
It's where the times have changed, right? So you look at it,
you gotta get out of here. You got basketball.
people are staying with their parents longer and longer these days. It's not you're 18, get out, go find something else.
I told my kids that the other day. I said, man, as soon as you guys turn 18, guess what? You're out of here. They're like, what?
So we're essentially creating a generation of people that think that they can just coast on in their parents' basement or whatever and don't have to worry about their own thing.
This is all like our thoughts, guys. Don't hold us to it, or don't think that that's what society is thinking or how every person who is old like
Well,
Daniel thinks.
That just makes it so, that puts into perspective why they come in thinking that things are just going to be handed to them because they've been having things handed to them their entire lives,
Mhm.
right? The participation trophies,
Oh yeah.
everything like that. It's I showed up, pay me.
Yep.
And the horrible thing is that there are jobs out there that it's like you work today, get paid today. I've gone through some fast food drive-through that's like apply, work today, get paid today. So they work their shift, they get paid that day.
That's crazy to me. I don't know how you can sustain long-term employees like that, especially if they have, and me, I'm always going to revert to how I grew up, especially if they have habits that could prohibit them from showing up to work the next day. But you made me think about something too, right? Everything was handing them. I wonder, like, if we were to compare a kid, we'll just take an age, like an age of transition, right? So let's say a 12-year-old kid from 50 years ago, a 12-year-old kid, every do increments of 10 years, starting 50 years ago till now. What was the responsibility of a 12-year-old kid or expectations versus now? And I think that would kind of shed the light onto why. So maybe it's not even the generation.
Yeah,
maybe,
yes and no, because it's all depends on how you grew up, right? Because
right.
we grew up with raising our kids and then in sports, right? And we constantly push sports because kids have to learn how to be coachable. You can't just show up and be like, all right, I deserve this. It's show up. I'm going to prove to you I'm worth something. This is what I want to do. Like my son, I want to pitch. What does he do? He works really hard on perfecting that craft to be that in that spot. So that's what we teach, right? And then at the same time, it's, Dad, I really want to do this. At 9 years old, go ask your coach. I'm not going to do that for you.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And that's where, like I was just listening to Simon Sinek, right? And we bring him up a lot too. And he says that the younger generation are the people that don't like to ask for things. They just show up. You're not giving me what I want. I'm leaving. It's never, I'm going to come in and I'm going to talk to you. Hey, this is what's going on. I have this going on at home. Can you guys do something for me, or can you help me out? I think I need, just ask for something, anything.
Mhm.
And they don't like to ask for raises. It's, I've been here for 30 days. They didn't give me a raise. I'm leaving. And
Mhm.
that's the mindset that the generation has right now. And that's not coming from us. That's coming from someone that actually has to deal with this and deal with these people on a daily basis. That's the mindset that they have.
Right. And if you think about it too, like the people who, like, just for us, right? Even the most recent person who left, there was zero communication as to likes and dislikes. And we come here on Monday.
This was taped to the door.
Yeah, I quit, which is fine. At least he left that. A lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
They just stop showing up. So I guess you could look at that. But I have never quit a job or left a job without having a conversation with the person that was in charge or the person above them. I've never, and I have to go back, right? Like I got to go back to when I was younger. But even when I was in construction, I've never just like, I quit. It's, hey, you got a minute to talk and talk things through. And I've always done that. I don't know any other way. Like I feel like no matter how upset I am at a situation or if I felt like I was being taken advantage of, I still feel like it's worth a conversation because it's a learning experience for both sides, right? I get practice at expressing myself. They get practice at being better or seeing some cues that could lead to something else. And that's, that can benefit both sides.
Right. Because everything is learning opportunity.
Yeah, always. No idea. All right, you have to ignore that phone ringing for a second. It's spam anyway. They're calling about Daniel's extended vehicle warranty. Do you even get those calls anymore? Is that even a thing anymore?
But I think so to kind of condense everything, that because we get off on tangents a lot, right? So just so the workers and the trades have changed. Looking back on how we started, it was rough. He was rough on me, but that pushed me to not only not want to mess up, right? It's like, I don't want to mess this up, but I'm going to do things on my own. So that way I can learn how to not mess it up on my own. I'm not just going to be like, well, I don't know how to do that. Don't send me over here. Which kind of was like, I'm going to keep on learning in order to not work under him anymore. So I don't have to keep on getting yelled at.
Yeah. And you know what? If that works for people, then that works. That's awesome. Like it, to each their own, but just know that someone who gets upset when you don't do something the right way, they're not getting upset because you did it wrong. You know, they just hold you to a higher standard than you are currently holding yourself. That's all. And if I didn't love my brother, I wouldn't have been like that, right? But I knew that he could do it. Like, dude, you can do this, dude. Stop. And it was always the simple things that it's always the simple things that everyone makes mistakes on because they overthink it. So I guess don't overthink a career in the trades because it could be well worth it. There was I saw a video. He's talking about Simon Sinek. I think I saw it's a TikTok or something like that. They did a metric of they used a plumber versus a doctor, and at the same age out of school, someone who became a plumber was in a better financial situation at like the 20-year mark than a doctor was. Granted, depends on what kind of doctor, how long you went to school, like
how long you
right, and
focus on specialties.
And you have to be in the right company with the opportunity for growth in order to get there, right? But you also have to put in the work.
Right. And when going back to when we started again, we started on 1099s. We didn't know the difference, right? The internet was still fairly new.
They still called it the web. They even call that anymore?
The World Wide Web,
Yeah.
it was still fairly new, and we didn't just hop on Google and search up anything we wanted to. And we didn't have Chat GPT to do everything for us. But we started on a 1099, and then it wasn't until you go to file your taxes and it's like, what do you mean I owe money? and these kids know better these days. A majority of them do. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of people out there that probably don't use technology, right? And
I try to use it as little as possible.
yeah, right. But it's like, that kind of stuff happened. And then you look at today, when I don't want to say, schools don't educate you on that kind of stuff, but that falls more on like the parenting, where it's like they always tell you to get a good job and all this stuff, right? But it's like they're looking for a long-term career. They're not, you can look at it as a job, or you can look at it as a career. You can take it as far as you want to, right? If you look at it as a job, that's all it's ever going to be. If you look at it as a career, that's where your mind keeps on flowing. What do I have to learn in order to progress? And since they're looking for a career, as an industry, we have to start looking at what kind of packages we can offer in order to get these younger kids in. Like I said, on a previous podcast, we've had people come through here that they're like, I would have never came to work for you guys if you didn't offer a W-2, and if you don't offer healthcare. Like, these are things that you have to start thinking about. The healthcare is huge because, I mean, there's nowhere around it.
It's a monopoly.
Well, there's nowhere around it. Like, we are hard on our bodies when we're installing, right? We hurt all the time. And not only that, talking about sustaining your own and then growing a family, you want to have that there for your family as well. So we have to start realizing that these kids want all this stuff and put these systems in place. Not only do we have to work on, the insulation and the training and all that, it's all the back office work that we have to realize that not a lot of people work on. And it's retirement, healthcare. Just look at workers' comp. If you get hurt on a job site and you're working for a 1099 for someone, you think that they have workers' comp. They're just, it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah. They have riders, but those riders you're usually excluded from those anyway. They're just
a piece of paper that you pay $1,000 for no reason. So there's a lot of things that go into these new people that are coming into the industry, and how this new generation thinks beyond just being on their knees. They can come in and they'll show up every day, but it's on us to tell them, like, I can only get you so much information. You actually have to want to learn more. And if you don't want to learn more, then you're in a job. But then you keep on asking me for a raise, but you're not showing me any progression.
You want the benefits of a career, but only putting forth the effort of a job. That's the first time I've ever said it like that. And wow. It's a really odd way to look at having a career or a job. And it sucks too. Like, even my jobs, when I had a job, fast food restaurants, I still gave 110%. I still tried to learn everything. I didn't like having to depend on people to do certain things. I'd just rather just get it done instead of waiting. But I think we're almost at our hour anyway. I didn't even think we were going to go that long without Paul.
No, so, the kids are looking at it that way, and us as the people that have been in the industry for a while, we need to look at it as we can say that, we're not huge corporations, but we kind of have to start thinking like a huge corporation when it comes to down to just even the
Mhm.
installation. We have to think of what kind of training programs can we put forth and stuff like that. And it's not necessarily all on you, right? There's training entities out there. CFI has, their 2-week courses that are happening. We were talking about that last week. One's over there at Dwayne's place in Wichita, Kansas. And then we have one coming over here to DeGraff Interiors in Jenison. So it's like, and it's the FCEF is footing the bill for these. So why not jump on board, right? It's like, if you know someone that wants to get in the industry, this is talk to Carlos, get your feet wet with this, get with the FCEF, get the scholarship, take these classes, these trainings. It's not all on us to come up with everything, but it is on us to point people in the direction where they need to go. We just sent baby sister to Nora to get trained, and that's a really particular product, so it's really beneficial to go through that class. But that's something that we seen that we needed to do, so we sent them. We're talking about, we just at the meeting that I had yesterday, right before you walked in with the guys, it's like, I need to get you guys into some training, and it's just, it sucks because it doesn't fall where we need it to sometimes, but we're about at that point where we got to start making the time to do it. And that's one thing that we have to look at industry wide as well. It's never a good time. When is a good time to have a kid? It's never a good time to have a kid. It's never a good time to go to a training. It's never a good time to go to a trade show, but it's these things that you have to do in order to progress your guys or ladies, right? Because there's your career. I'm talking about the people that work for you.
Yeah, the crews.
Oh, I thought you said career.
I just sound like I have an accent.
But it's like, let's start expanding everything. Let's know that the people that are coming in aren't built from the same cloth that we were, and there's things that you kind of have to baby step around and get used to. And we're having to do it constantly. It's a constant evolution. It's not, you can't just be set in your ways and nope, this is the way that everything's going. Because once you're in that mindset, that's why a lot of the guys are working by themselves, because they're not willing to change.
Yeah.
And that's one constant that we talk about all the time, is that the flooring industry is constantly changing, and that's the evolution of it.
The products are changing,
and you have to look at it that way as a business as well. It's a constant evolution. Like, you can have don't get me wrong, you want to have your solid core, right? You want to have your mission, your values, write all that down and then expand on that. But know that things change, and that the people that are coming in the industry right now are different than when you came into the industry. And realize, and a lot of what we do, like we talked to Arena when she was just in here a few minutes ago, and you ask her some questions, and think back to when you were that age, which was different because we weren't in the same position as she is. But her friends are, what college are we going to go to so we can go party? I have plenty of friends that went to college and partied, and I have friends right now that are going through AA because they never stop partying. So it's
creatures of habit. So, and that's where, if you instill in your nephews, nieces, your children that life is going to be on easy street, and you just say, hey, just go and ask for this instead of go and prove you're worth this. And I think that's where a lot of the issues come from for the trades. Nobody wants to prove their worth.
And like we say every single time, communication is everything. Talk talk to your kids, talk to the younger people and ask them. Like, you don't know if you don't ask. And that's what we constantly do. You know, we ask her, we ask some of the younger people that come through here, and we're grateful that some of them just tell us, you know, I wouldn't work here if you guys didn't have these benefits, if we weren't W-2. Just start asking and change your mindset.
We're trying to change ours. Meet us in the middle.
And that way we can keep on growing this industry and get these younger people in the door. And that way, when they're our age, they'll be going through the same struggles, just a different generation. I mean, you look at it like that, right? It's like every generation complains about the generation that comes after them. They're lazy. They don't like to do this. They don't like to do that. But it's that constant evolution. Jake says, where can he get some PF swag? I think Jake, you need to just come visit us, bro. Text one of us, and when you got some free time, come over to the office and say what's up.
And just so you guys know, like Jake and I go way back before flooring days.
Well, he said that you were at his house when you found out that you were starting your flooring career. He said you got
I got the what?
when you got the call. That was like 50 years ago.
That was a long time ago.
But we're about at the hour, guys. We're gonna wrap up. Change your mindset.
Any young folks out there want to add to this, please comment.
You know, like us, subscribe. We got the Huddle podcast Facebook page now. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever we're at, man. Just look us up, find us. Right there, we got the QR codes right on the screen. If you on your phones, you can actually take a screenshot, and if you go on an iPhone, you can anyways. If you go to your photos on the QR code, if you long press on it, it'll take you right to the site. So it's like
I was right now years
you.
old when I learned that.
So give us a like, subscribe, and I appreciate everyone, you know, for chiming in today. This is what this podcast is really meant for. We want the interaction, because the more people that we get to interact with us, the better we can understand how we need to change as well, because we don't do everything right. It's a constant evolution. Teach us something. That's what we need. We're here to teach you what we've already been through, but we want to know things as well. So
Yep.
go to CFI's website and see what trainings they got. Go to NAFCT's website, FCICA, see what trainings they got. But the big one right now is the scholarships that the FCEF is giving for 100% paid training. You got someone new, this is what you guys want to do right now. Go to CFI's website, see what events that are close to you, and get your guys signed up. Sign up yourself.
And then I believe that Go Carrera is doing the
Go Carrera is doing the CIM Scholarship.
Yep.
So I didn't link it in here, but if you go to the podcast on one of the like Spotify or Apple, I believe I have a link in there.
And follow the Huddle on Facebook too. If you guys are have a chance, go ahead and click on it. I believe I shared the live feed from the Huddle, so just go ahead and click on that and follow that as well.
So Jake says this is his first one. He wants to be part of more. We do this Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern. Paul usually says it in Central Time because he's in Central, but we're Eastern. So 4 p.m. Tuesdays. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Appreciate you, and take it easy.
Have a good one. Thanks, everyone.